Hey everybody, it's Colonel Mike Durally calling again and providing your 24 March afternoon update. Chief Lyda gave his morning update and you saw that from his house. I'm really proud of him. He's leading by example, staying home. He's feeling a little bit under the weather. Pretty sure it's allergies, but better to be safe than sorry, and he's showing a great example of that, and so really appreciative. One of the things I'd like to offer up is we're trying to push out more mental health resources and just resiliency type efforts, so that way as people are having to stay home and they're dealing with stress, they have some outlets that they can call if they need to talk to anybody or feel like they need a little extra support. They have some places where they can find that. One of the things from yesterday's update was the Child Development Center and the individual that we have working there that has gone in for testing. We're still waiting on those results, and based on those results, we'll determine our way ahead. But we're really looking at everything, whether we keep it open, whether we go to minimum essential, and how we're going to inform the parents of what we're doing as we move forward. So we're going to try and keep the communication going, but that's where we're at right now, and we'll continue to provide updates as we move along. Finally, I got some questions. Is it true that Colonel Hogan from the fighter group is trying to perform some sort of hostile takeover of the wing? Colonel Hogan's quite the scrapper, boxer from the academy. I'd expect nothing less from him, so please, everybody, watch out. So for the rest of the update, I thought we'd try something a little bit different today. And a lot of my updates, you've heard me talk about, hey, during these times, please reach out. Please get in touch with those people that you know, that you love, and make sure they're doing okay, and try and keep those connections and those touch points. And so today I'd like to introduce, for those of you that haven't had a chance to meet him, and several of you on base have already had a chance to meet him, one of my best friends, Simon Sinek. Simon is an author. He is a student of leadership, and what I think is the most awesome is he is an optimist. And so today I'm going to check up on him, and we're going to ask a few questions and see what he has to say about the situation that we're all going through together. So Simon, how are you doing?
Good to see you, JB.
That's great to see you too. So I know you're out in California and you are self-isolating right now. How are you doing personally? How's everything going for you?
Overall, health is good. Definitely every time I cough, sneeze, or have a tickle in my throat, I think I have COVID. Right there, so I've definitely taken my fever more than I care to admit. But overall, I'm having a head down. I'm doing okay.
That's good. So if you don't mind, can I ask you a few questions as we move forward? So one of the things the wing was really focused on prior to this all happening was resiliency. So the Air Force took a resiliency tactical pause where we focused on suicidal ideation attempts, and we had dedicated days where, as groups, we talked about that. And one of the takeaways that Chief Lyda and myself came away from that was there was a desire for more connectedness and touch points. And so we started a lot of initiatives to address those. So we came up with a Boss and Buddy event where at 1500 on Wednesdays, leave work early, get together, bring somebody that has not experienced other parts of the wing so that way you can talk and just make relationships. All of those things were starting to build momentum, about 200 folks every Wednesday, and then this hits smack dab in the middle of it. So as we move forward, have you seen any best practices, have any recommendations on how people can continue to have some of that connectedness or some of those touch points?
Yeah, as if we're not in such a disconnected society already with excessive use of digital connection. Texting and email and social media are great, but I think as a society we've over-indexed too far away, and we've seen some of the health issues as a result. You've touched upon just some of them. We're social animals, and when you take human beings away from social animals, it creates unbelievable stress and anxiety. In our society, we consider solitary confinement a form of torture. And so now when we're forced for our own health and the health of our own community to keep separated, it does increase levels of stress, especially for people who live alone. Yeah. So I think we have to take it upon ourselves to connect with each other in sort of very old-fashioned ways, the phone, or even video conference, a little less old-fashioned. So yes, it's nice to text each other and check in on each other. It's even more powerful to call up someone and say, how are you doing? To hear someone's voice, tone of voice, all of that is incredibly powerful. Video conferences, have meals, have coffees, have lunches with people over video conference. And one of the other best practices I've seen is go for a walk with someone. Keep social distance, and just go for a walk outdoors, 6 feet apart from each other and meet up. We can still do that, and that's still really, really important.
No, that's great. And I know something that you've been especially focused on is just the differentiation between those communication methods. You know, text is just not the same as that interaction back and forth that people can have. As we continue to get through this, and we do finally get through it, what do you think we should look at as far as our way forward, or things that we need to do that maybe we weren't as cognizant of before this, that now we should really focus on after this?
Well, I mean, I think it's the big shock for all of us is just how bad we are at long-term planning, both as a nation, as communities, and as individuals. We don't have savings. So for a lot of hourly workers or people who are living paycheck to paycheck, there just isn't a cushion to fall back on. Many of us did not have any provisions, canned food. Not that we need to keep stockpiles of it, but a few days of food. And so there was a lot of panic buying. For me, I've been talking about putting solar panels on my house for ages, never pulled the trigger, and I actually had a blackout 3 days ago. So I think we as individuals need to be prepared. This is a shot across the bow, and as bad as COVID-19 is, it could be so much worse. What if the next one is more like Ebola? And I think we need to. I think when we get through this, I think we need to take stock and figure out how we can plan ahead.
No, yeah, absolutely. Well, in that same vein, I know, no offense, you're a strategy nerd. I'm a strategy nerd, so I fully embrace that title. As leaders trying to lead in a strategy out of this, what would you look as like an infinite strategy out of this? As we look at, hey, how do we evolve? What things do we need to focus on, or what do we need to prioritize as leaders?
It's an infinite mindset. Always assumes the long term and doesn't view all of these things as discrete. We live for 70, 80 years as individuals. If we lived for 1,000 years, if that was our lifespan, we would know that this happens now and then. This would happen. So imagine we lived for 1,000 years. Imagine that was our lifespan. Now go live your life. Now go plan how preparedness for a wing or for a base. If our lifespans were 1,000 years, all of these things that happen on occasion, maybe once in a lifetime, we would actually be better prepared for them.
Oh, that's awesome. Finally, Simon, the entire team here at Davis-Monthan is a huge fan. Is there anything you want to pass along to them, or anything you can tell them to keep in mind?
None of us is strong enough to get through any of these things alone. We need each other. Together is the only way through. And so one of the things I love about times like this is under stress. We cannot judge a crew by how they perform in calm waters. We judge a crew by how they perform in rough waters, and this is where we get tested as teams. And it's amazing to see just the best in people, how they show up, the risks they're willing to take for the good of each other, not just for the good of themselves. And I think you guys set the example. So I know I call you up on a regular basis and say, tell me what you guys are doing. And I share a lot of the lessons that you're learning on the job with my folks and with others, because those who wear a uniform for a job understand what service means. And service truly means to serve those who serve others. So I think it's just a big, heavy underline that we are better together, and the only way we're going to get through this is as a team.
No, that's fantastic. And Simon, I'll brag on you for a few seconds. I had a chance to check in with Simon just a couple days ago, and we talked for a while about being in self-isolation, about playing pinball, about just great stuff. And at the end of it, that's when Simon said, "Hey, I want to help out. What can I do to help?" And that led to today's phone call. So I really appreciate it. And for the team here, you should know. That was the first thing that came to his mind. It was not, self-interested. It was just, I want to help out the team. And Simon, I really appreciate it. So I'll give you a shout here in a couple days, and we'll check.
And when we get through this, I'll come visit base properly.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, I'll give you a shout here in a couple days so we can check in again and tell you how the team is doing. And for Davis-Monthan, I'll talk to the rest of you tomorrow. So thank you very much. Rescue and Attack. Thanks, Simon.
Thank you.